Hey guys, today I want to talk about relationships and what a healthy relationship looks like when it's based in unconditional love. Because there are so many unhealed people out there, and that's okay, right? We're all trying to figure this out, we're all trying to heal. But most of us, the majority of us, don't grow up with an example of what a healthy, healed, whole relationship looks like with two people who are healthy, whole, and healed. Things become conditional. There's often a people pleaser, narcissistic relationship to some degree. And sometimes one person will be the people pleaser, and then later on they'll be the narcissist, or at certain times they'll play one role versus the other, because ultimately it's just our wounding. It's our wounding, and much of it goes back to childhood. It's that inner parasite, the fear, the anxiety, the worry, us not understanding ourselves, understanding our emotions, us having a lot of thoughts, being stuck in thinking, overthinking, being stressed out in a world that can throw so much at us, where there are so many distractions, so many things pulling you away from yourself, telling you can't be yourself, telling you you're not approved of, telling you you're not good enough, telling you all these things. And so one of the most important practices, I think, that the modern, self-aware, conscious couple must have is radical honesty. And yeah, it's pretty radical, Radical honesty to me is the ability to speak with someone openly and honestly about your deepest fears and insecurities, even if it has to do with them, the other person. Of course, it's always a reflection of us, but we have to be honest with ourselves about relationships that we're in. We have to be willing to have those difficult conversations. And the way that radical honesty has to work is it has to be agreed upon by both people. It can't be one-sided. It can't be, I want to be radically honest and I don't care what you want. It can't be that way, right? Because let's be honest, if you're trying to institute radical honesty into your relationships so that you guys can talk about things that need to be talked about and reflect together and go over things together and put fears and anxieties and worries to bed so we can make sure that we're on the same page with things, it has to be entered in with two people. If you're with someone who's not willing to do that, you can't really trust them, can you? It's like you need to know that they are always willing to be open and honest with you. It is the most important thing for a relationship. So how many times do people get cheated on because they can't trust each other, or because they've entered into a relationship and gotten to a certain point, and then one person realizes they're unhappy, they're unfulfilled, or maybe they're not even that self-aware, and then they do something drastic, they do something awful, and absolutely destroy all that trust that you had before. And the truth is, we often end up with people, especially early in our lives, that we're not meant to be with forever. That's just a fact. It happens all the time because we're unhealed. Because we're unhealed, who do we attract? Right? It doesn't mean that there's not cases where two unhealed people come together. That happens all the time, and they are meant to be together, or they're meant to be together for a time, for a long time even. And sometimes for their whole lives. And that's perfect for who they are and where they're at, and what they both deserve, and all that, depending on where they're at in the journey. But, I could say, like, with my ex, that when we came together, we were both in this energy of like kind of desperate to be in a relationship. Like we didn't think that others could love us as we were. You know, we had not received a lot of evidence to that before, because we had so much, I don't know, anxiety around it, and we gave into fears and stuff about that, and we had a lot of wounds that we weren't really aware of at that time. So when we came together, she ended up being a soul family, a soulmate, but we had a lot of karmic stuff, and we came together, and that all played out in different ways, and we had a lot of arguments and fights, and there were times where she wasn't treating me well, there were times where I wasn't respecting and treating her well, and eventually, we started working on ourselves after some years that became very difficult, and we started to work on ourselves and go to therapy and all that stuff, and eventually, we got to a point where we realized we learned what radical honesty was, and then we were like, we should do that, and so for the last couple of years of our relationship, we were able to do that. And shout out to the Fresh Prince new version that would sound like Peacock, because that's where we found it, that's where we learned it. That show has so many really wonderful, it's so well written, and it's so very conscious and self-aware. It's a beautiful show, you should watch it. But we learned about the concept of radical honesty, and I was like, this is exactly what we need to do, because we need to talk through things and we need to heal together, and she saw the value in it too, which was awesome. But as we healed more, we got to the point finally where we realized our greatest happiness and fulfillment wasn't together. I remember leading up to that time, there was a time where we had to have a really difficult discussion, and there was something that had been weighing on me for years, and I was finally able to say that to her. And I won't say it here out of respect, but it was just my truth, and there wasn't any ego behind it, and I felt awful saying it to her. And it wasn't meant to like hurt her feelings or make her feel bad or anything like that. And she had things to say to me too, that, again, it wasn't about ego, it's about us being truthful, honest about the way we really felt. And the truth is that we stayed together for the wrong reasons, because we were afraid. We were afraid of being alone. We were afraid of hurting the other, afraid of hurting our families, afraid of all these things. But ultimately, our happiness is our responsibility. Who we're with is our responsibility. And if someone is not making us happy, or if someone betrays us, or if someone hurts us, it is our responsibility to take care of ourselves. It is our responsibility to leave people who won't change. And it is our responsibility to make sure that if we get to a point in a relationship where it's a natural breaking off, it's time to go, to not hold on and turn it into a big mess and hurt the other person in the process and hurt ourselves, right? So radical honesty it's imperative. It really is. It is what the modern relationship, it is the standard. It is the standard. It should be this way. I'm not saying it is, and everyone has the right to choose, but it should be this way. And the way that it really works is both people, again, have to agree to it. And when you're actually practicing it, both people must agree, discuss it before the conversation starts. Be like, I need to be completely open and honest with you right now. I have things going through my head. I'm really struggling. There are things I need to talk about with you. Are you in a place where you can handle that right now? Because we need to be safe spaces for each other emotionally. And if someone is not mentally in a place where they can hear that from you right now, but they're willing to hear it later on, that's okay. But you have to have that conversation. And you have to realize that it might not be right this second, because right now this person could be in anxiety. This person could be going through something, have something really bothering them. And maybe that's an opportunity for them to talk about what's going on, and then you can speak about your truth, but it has to be respectful. It has to be mutual respect, mutual decision to enter into this together, mutual respect, in when we have these deeper conversations. And then through this trust, though, that can be developed through this practice and others, I'm sure, but through this practice of radical honesty, you can develop a trust with them that perhaps there will come a time when you're both just so open with each other that you can always be that way, you know? And that isn't that ideal, because we want to love each other unconditionally. We don't want to hold on to judgments and resentments with each other. And that happens when we're not able to really be honest about what's going on within us. Even if we understand that some of the negative stuff is ego or old wounds or whatever, you know, like, that's okay, you know? It's okay that those are there, and we can't reject those parts of ourselves. We have to acknowledge them and feel what's there. Otherwise, we'll hold on to it, right? We have to acknowledge it and heal it and release it. And you can do this alone, but if you have a partner who's willing to do it with you, it makes it so much easier, because then they're there to console you, to have compassion, to love you, to forgive you, to make it so much easier on you. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. And so I know that whenever I get into my next relationship, this is something that will be one of the first things we talk about, you know, as the relationship becomes something, you know. It's like, I don't even want to get into a relationship where someone is opposed to that, you know, like, all right, that's not my person, of course, if that's the case, you know, but who you're meant to be with, who you deserve to be with, especially if you are on this healing journey, finding your wholeness, which was always there. We just have to get rid of the things that say otherwise. But seeing our wholeness, respecting ourselves, loving ourselves enough to say that this is a boundary that I am setting right now, that I will not attract a person who doesn't believe in this concept. I will not be with a person who does not believe with this concept, because I deserve the truth and I deserve the ability to be honest and open with them about everything. Because no relationship can survive without that level of trust. Not forever. Eventually that trust will be broken because it's not established. It's not foundational. It has to be foundational. Which means we have to trust ourselves and we have to trust the other person. And the more open and honest and vulnerable you can be with someone, the more that trust is built. And even when we make mistakes, and even though we'll still get triggered, even though we'll still have judgments come up and negative thoughts come up and things like that, if we're open and honest with them, then we can squash them together. You know, we can put them to bed together. We can heal together. And so it doesn't matter what you did or what you said, or you know, if you were triggered, if you were afraid, if you were whatever, like if you were wounded and you made a decision that didn't sit right or whatever, it doesn't matter. Because in an open, honest, unconditionally loving relationship, and remember, unconditional love is a balance of self-love and love of others, right? Because we have to protect ourselves. We have to love ourselves, and the way that we love ourselves is how we show others how to love us as well. And so it's about unconditional love, being honest, being open, trusting yourself, trusting them, and giving people the benefit of the doubt again, because I know we've all been through pain and hurt, and we've all, you know, we've all been betrayed at one point or another by someone we trusted. We've all been let down by someone we trusted, and we've betrayed ourselves and we've let down ourselves many times. But all of it can be forgiven, especially when someone's willing to open up with you. And that makes a relationship truly beautiful, and it can flourish. And if you get to that level of self-awareness and desire to be in a relationship like that, that is how you will know that you found your person. You know, there's chemistry and there's attraction and there's an openness. and openness, because love liberates, love frees us, love accepts you as you are, flaws and all, wounds and all, right? And then you can grow together because you're not hiding from yourself. You don't feel like you have to hide from them. If you feel like you have to hide from them, that's the sign that you're not in a relationship you should be in, probably. Or at the very least, you need to actually open up with them. And if they reject you, then of course, get out of it. If they accept you, now you can work with that, right? You know, this is just so important. It really is. This is the only way that moving forward we can have truly healthy relationships, and not things built on lies and fear and deception and conditional love. So I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. I really need to figure out like some type of outro or intro, like a I don't know, something, maybe, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, bye.